know how they have the Google car that drives up and down the streets and takes photos of everything at 360 degrees. Sometimes people see things that we can't explain, and I'm going to show you the first picture that was sent, and here we go. I warn you, you've never seen anything like it, and hold your judgment till you see them all. Here we go. So there it is. We see it's. Don't forget, this is from the Google car that drives up and down, and you got the streak right here. I'm gonna ask you, what do you see here? What do you think? We'll go through the other photos, but your first impressions.
First impression, honestly, was that this was a glare off of some sort of lens or something in front of the camera. And the reason I thought that is because when I'm a little bit closer to it, you can see that there's a bit of translucent towards the edges, and yet you can still see it kind of coming through. But this, again, was my initial thought when I first looked at it, and then going through some of the other photographs. What I'm saying now in respect to it actually being in the sky, in the background, the way we think it should be, I think that that's exactly what it is. But that was my initial thought. What about you, Rich? What did you think when you first looked at this?
My initial thought was, well, it's Photoshop because it looks like it's disappeared. So the wires, and I know that it's just it could be an artifact. It depends on a lot of different factors. You know, it's the camera that's being used, the way it goes, or strange anomalies. You know, I don't. It looks like something flew. Let's look at another picture. Hold on a second here. Pretty bizarre.
Here we can certainly see that it appears to be in the sky. So if this isn't photoshopped or inserted in some sort of artificial way, then this is in the sky.
This right, you can see a circular thing right here that is in almost every picture. These three dots are not UFOs. This is a cloud. We'll prove it here in a moment. Don't forget, this is a Google car that's taking photos, and this is one of them pointing at the sky, and it's in them. Now, it's not near the wires anymore. Obviously, it's somewhere else. You know, it's moving, and it's taking these pictures in succession, basically. So let's move on to the next one.
This is a great example. This is a great sighting of sort because there are multiple pictures from what appears to be different angles. So we're not working with just one picture. This is awesome.
No doubt. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people, like when I showed you the very first picture and it was covering the wires, that's just because I think it's the Google car, and I just think it's an artifact that we see that a lot with objects that, even though they're far away, they look like they're closer with another object in the foreground. So this here you got a really good view. You can see the circle still here. It looks like, man, I'm not sure if something flew. Like, here's what I see. It looks like the object was gaining speed, and then when it was going through, if this is a portal or Stargate of some kind down here, it just went, and that's when it just.
Sure.
I don't know any other way to describe it. It's almost like a shock.
Surrounded. The other anomalies.
The weird thing is, it almost looks like this could be a swirling. You have to really look up on a big screen to see what I'm seeing, I think, but it is weird. Let me show you the other ones here. It's something I've never seen before. Is this a triangular craft? Is it still there?
Almost has triangular shape to it. Manifestation, or it's just going. Weird.
You can see a better image of whatever was flying this way, or maybe it came through this and went this way. Nobody knows. But are we seeing cloaking technology by the Google car, or are we seeing, some sort of Stargate portal? I don't know. So here we got this. Now watch next to that. strange looking triangular same place here, and that's different. Look at that.
It's quite clear too. For most sightings, there's a problem with being able to have the visual aspect come together with what you think you're seeing. But this is very clear in respect to this sort of sighting.
Never seen anything like it.
Neither have I.
Could this be the craft cloak, or I don't know? I see that circle there, man. I think this and this are. I think something is going. There's words right here.
Yeah, that's odd.
I think that's Google.
Very cool.
This is, that's pretty interesting. Thing that triangle's right there. I don't know if it means anything, but a lot of people feel that these objects
Appears to be a little bit more solid than in some of the other picture.
know. You're right, though. I thought it was really cool. Like a little clear.
That was more whispered.
I also noticed there was something here on this picture. And I don't know if it means anything. But there's what looks like some sort of circle there too. I don't know. There's probably a lot of artifacts here. Because it's the Google Earth car, and I've seen a lot of strange anomalies, especially in the sky where they do the stitching because it's not buildings or street names. It's inconspicuous when it's in the sky. Not a lot of people are looking up at the sky. So I think it would be an interesting place to stitch up their photos or block out anything. I don't know. Wild stuff. You think that could be a stitching artifact? There's what looks like some sort of circle there too. I don't know. There's probably a lot of artifacts here. Things or street names. It's in or block out anything. I don't know. Wild stuff. Do you think that could be a stitching artifact, especially with the white thing there?
I mean, it's possible, but again, somebody has to go through the effort to do that, even through Google. It's possible, but honestly, I haven't seen enough examples of it to say that I'm confident that's what this is.
It's wild. I don't know. What do you guys think in the chat room? Oh, you brought up a good point, by the way. Third phase of moon, Brindley Cousins have the actual coordinates to this, but we're not going to give it out. We're going to hold on to it. We don't want people going out to the location trying to find this. Unless you can find it yourself, guys. If you can find this, be my guest. Come back with it. See if you can find it. Wear it. Yeah, I don't know. It just says rather odd. That's it.
That's it, huh?
I don't remember if they told me where it was. I don't remember. But, we have another part to this, so just hang on a little bit. We'll get
And this was a fantastic catch.
there's the crater. This is the two halves of Earth, and there's the cap. See, the cap's got the same. See the cap? Cap a little bit further away. Eventually, the cap will come and settle right on the top and make a round. This is a beautiful little system, isn't it? She's just gorgeous the way she is. We were about this size next to her. Across about six of us right across. In fact, this cap, which we believe to be the bathtub, 2/3 deep, is bigger than us because it goes from one side to the other. Just like you know. Isn't that a great image? It's a beautiful image. You can see the crack in her face all the way down. And here's the cap coming back. So the baby must be inside now. The core. The core must be in there, right? And this is right in the hole where we saw the little red dot. Remember, we can see that there's a floating. This is what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. He started out a channel, and I want you all to do me a favor. I'm not asking you for money. I'm not. I want you to go visit this channel, and I want you to subscribe to this channel. We're going to put something together for you, and
Your faith and prayers have sustained me. What I hear most often as I travel the country are 5 words that never touch my heart. That's I am praying for you. I hear it so often. I am praying for you, Mr. President.
Donald Trump converted to Judaism 2 years ago. And joined Chabad Lubavitch Synagogue in New York City, according to a high-level White House official. Mr. Goldberg says the story has allegedly been Goldberg, a fellow at the Jewish Center of
I want to thank you for everything.
To whom much is given, much is expected. I was sworn in on the very Bible from which my and that freedom is not a gift from bring it back. Because it's
out to give them war with Iran. Office in Washington, D.C. And they
5 a.m. all month. When he does arrive, he spends a lot of time watching TV.
You're not going to raise that f***ing price. You understand me?
it looked like $1 million. And I asked Jerry. So I just.
A unique procession linked to the events takes place in Jerusalem.
And you're looking at, okay, my wonderful friends, this is going to be quick and simple, easy to understand. You're looking at 2 different types of feet here. These are what I call the no-toes. The toes are built right inside of them. That is the foot. That is where the second bone you have in your leg comes down. You have the tibia, which cradles right there, and then you have the fibula that sits on the side that just lays there and falls off. It has done the same thing here. Now, and this we had the same cradle here for the bone coming down and the fibula. Now, if I am correct, this is literally leather. That is literally leather. And if I am correct, I should be able to show this literal leather is exactly the same or pretty damn close to this actual leather belt. Now, let's look at it in the microscope. All right, here we go. All right, I have to do this somewhat in the dark, but you can see I'm looking at my belt, and that's what I'm looking at right there. All right, that's what you're seeing. Turn up the light in the scope here, smidge. See it? Now, that is the belt itself. Not making it up. There it is right there. Now, I'm going to move that over from there, from the belt to the foot. Well, let's go to this big one down here because this is almost, well, it's bigger. It's a little harder to see. Let me put it back up to here. All right, this is the leather that is this foot is made of. Now, if I turn the scope down a little bit, it'll make it a little more obvious. But you can see it's very similar. You see that stuff? Let's see if I can focus this in. That is the fabric of skin. It's all over here. I mean, that's what it is. Now, the black is vein blood. Let me find the red spot. This should be some artery. It's artery blood. But you see the same black blobs are in there. And back here, there's some more right here. This is where the bone comes down from above. It's all biology, 100% biology. Now here's where it comes in from the side, where the fibia sits on the side. It just lays up against her. There's no really attachment. There's a lot of blood vessels. All right, now that was this one here. That was this one. Now we're going to get rid of this one. And let's take a look at this one. Now, first thing we're going to look at is the surface of it. And then I'm going to go right to those marrows, because I think I showed you the marrows. I get lost in these things. All right, here we go now. Okay, my friends, I'm going to make this quick, and I think I'm going to make a compelling case. This is what I call gnarl. You see that? All that grizzly looking stuff? There's another one over here. There's some here. There's more over here and here. Those are where tendon anchored in here. Now you see that? It's literally blood. There's a layer of blood out there, and the anchors lock in through these marly little scrappy looking things. We're going to see these in the microscope in a minute. Now, what I just showed you, and you can see there's a artery and a vein here feeding this complex, which was, I don't know what it did, but it had a bunch of tendon in places, which means that it had articulation. You see them all over the place? No. We have them in all kinds, and this is a lung, and this has been DNA certified. Now, I took the sample out from in here somewhere. I drilled or scraped somewhere inside. I didn't take it off the outside. I took it from the inside, and I sent it off to be tested, and it came back as human mitochondrial DNA. And I had an anatomist look at it, and he said, yeah, that's what a human lung looks like, and that's the pleura of the lung, and this is the articulation of the lobes of the lung or whatever, and this is the kind of fabric that's on a lung, and this is where the red flappy flap at the bottom of the lung would be, and there's nothing here that's wrong. It is a lung, and the DNA said it was human. Now, let's go to this. I haven't had this DNA certified or tested in any manner to be other than to just look at it, but you'd have to be, not being able to think very well to not understand what you're seeing here. It's a foot. Now, what is a foot of? Well, I would say it's a foot of some form of a human. However, and this is exactly where the blood flows, and that's exactly what blood does, is it creates this. You see that red spot there? And again, we're going to look at this in a microscope. That's going to be blood. This spot right here is where the bone cradles. That's going to be blood. This spot right here is where the bone cradles in the back, and then the fibia sits on the side here, and they break right off. They just lay there. This is really embedded, the fibia, tibia. All right, so this is what the foot looks like. There's where the bone is in the back there. There's the heel. I mean, this is what it is, what it is. That's where the bone was. That's a little red blood coming out of there. This is the arch. It's like you have an arch on your foot. And underneath, these are the pads, and where there was a pad, another pad here, I believe, that was probably almost this big, and it's now missing. And they're held together in the center. We have tons of it. This is not a one-off. Now, and you can find blood, and I'll show all that. That's blood right there. And I'll show this in a microscope in a minute. And then I have another species of no-toes. Well, I have at least two or three.
Yes, Ronald.
This one, remember about the gnarls. Oh. Yeah, mouse. I'm telling you, that's a foot. I can prove it to you. All of these spots are gnarls. Same thing. It has all these tendrils. You see that? That's a pattern. Okay, these are the heavy-duty gnarls, and that's where the bone sits in the back, just like the other one. You see, if you get it in the right light, you can see all these things show up. All right, now this is exactly going to be like my belt. All right, if I showed you, or I didn't show you, but this side was sticking up, and it died laying like this. They all seem to have died on one side or the other, laying flat in the mud, and because of the salt water, they petrified in that manner. Now, which gives us a better texture over here. We can see more of the skin, actually. You can literally see the skin on this side. And this is where the tibia was on this one. The tibia sat right in here. And you could see, you could find the actual placements if you know where to look and how to look at it. And that is where the other bone sat right there. The little bone. We're going to look at this in a microscope. But that is some kind of gigantic foot from some, yeah, I mean, it really isn't gigantic once you start looking at the stuff you have to present. It's not far from a very huge human. But it's totally different structure. You see the structure of that foot compared to that foot? See the two? I mean, it's very similar here and a similar arch, but a lot of differences to me. And anyway, we're gonna, and there's huge ones. They're all over the earth. It's nothing. This is nothing special. I have nothing here that is special. Not a single thing. It's just that I looked at it and I studied it and understand it. But it's nothing special. These are inside of here, and I'll show them on here, all exactly identical to this. And not only that, this is the same gnarly stuff that is in the Crystal Cathedral, or whatever they call it, down in Crystal Caves. And the matrix has eroded away from that as well. And you can see the red stuff at the Crystal Caves. And then you see all the crystal spikes. The earth is covered with gigantic creatures, and covered with creatures of all types and sizes and body styles. I'm sorry, it's just an amazing time to be alive and to see these things. Nobody realized things like this that look like rocks until they started thinking about it. You know, I realized that's not a rock, that's a bone. The same thing with this. I realized that's not a, you know, I'm going to tell you, it took me a while. I looked at this for quite a while before I figured it out. But once I saw the bird feather pattern, see the feathers? And then once you start looking at it, you can look at the eyes and look at the neck and all of those little things. You never really looked at before in a way of understanding. You know, at least to contemplate it, think about it, not just dismiss it, which is what happens. And you're still dismissing it. See, this is what they call feldspar. Feldspar is the tissue of life. And the tissue of life is the same for every single type. Like your skin will turn very similar to that. All of the organs in the body are coated with something very similar to that. Your bones have the, I think it's called the curiosity, very similar to that. It's all the same. It's a fabric. It's a fabric of life. All right, here is the surface of the bigger foot that I showed you. See it? I'm just going to go, here's the marks. You see, those are what I call the marks. Don't forget. Real white. No, don't forget, that's the marl. It's the same as the other marl I showed a minute ago. Now I can't find it. Oh, here it is. All right, now, this is the other marl from this big piece. And the one that I showed that has the veiny artery. Now, I'm going to grab the marl off of this. That's it right there.
Si ves videos aquí, ya eres.
That's the marl. Can you see the red stuff in there? That's the matrix that you wrote it away. Normally that would hold it tight.
You need to.
And then you get away from the marl and you're back into the skin. That skin would come over here and cover right over the top of that. But that, for some reason, leached out of there and took the skin. And you get away from that and back to the skin. It's the same fabric on everything. So we've seen the fabric on both of the feet. Here's the fabric on the lung. It's a little more pronounced. The lung is a much more rubbery bag than all the rest. But same material. I think I showed you the belt. Here's the bone. It's the same looking fabric. See the holes in it? That's where blood flows through. Now this is inside where the ferritin and the blood is. See, that's where your blood cells grow inside the marrow. And then as we go out to the edge of the bone, that's the edge of the bone. We come outside the bone, and this is the fabric that coats it, just like the fabric everywhere else on every other part of your body. It separates you from the rest of the stuff. It's the fabric of life. It's time to see, because they always say, oh, that's just feldspar. It's not. You can call it feldspar. That is wonderful. That's great. That's fabulous. But it is the fabric of life. And even my goose buddy has the same stuff on here. You see that? We're not far off from being birds. Some of us are bird brains. Same stuff. Here's up the top where the feathers were. That's where the feathers are, up at the top. Let me see if I can find a separation. See that line going right there between the two? One down there, that's where the feathers lay. It's the same stuff. It's all the same stuff. Now you go inside the body, different. Now we're inside. This is the guy's elegant ducks, versus nut. And this is the actual center right there. Excuse me, is where his neck is. Let me see if I can bring it over. See it? That's where he swallows, right down through there. And this is just the fabric of the tissue of inside your body. Much different than outside. There's still a lot of this fibers and this and that, but there's much more blood and gore. Outside has primarily these fabrics, just like this. You know, I have a lot of research on this. I have a lot of evidence on this. I have a lot of videos. I have all of the specimens. I have literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of specimens. And they're all completely valid. It's time to start looking into the reality of what I am presenting. Okay, that's what you're looking at right here. This is called a tendon enthesis. And what it does is that ball, as you develop and grow, it plants into certain places. There's one there, over here, and they run a strap back. And as they grow, the cells become expressed, and then you end up with this gnarly looking, marvel looking stuff here, which is this. I showed you over and over and over. So that's what it is. It's extremely